All right, you're never quite sure if you're on live or not. So hopefully I am. We'll see. Welcome to the stream. I'm in Kansas. I can always verify this by calling it up over here. Let's close that and let's go here. We're gonna go here. Home. Let's see. Channel. Live storm chase. One watching. Yep, I'm there. Channel. Storm chase. All right. One watching. Yep, I'm there. Channel. Chase. All right, watching. Okay, welcome. Hi. Thanks for joining the live stream. We're in Kansas. We're actually in Lawrence, Kansas. And I'm going to put my really ugly sunglasses on, but there's a reason why I wear these. The yellow helps, for some reason, just helps see distant thunderstorm structure. They're also polarized, and also they're large enough so that I can see to my side, and they're large enough to put over my regular glasses should I need them. So for all those reasons, I have big, dumb, bug sunglasses. All right, we're merging on to I-70. Here we go. We're headed west. Now, the thunderstorms, as you can see on radar, are still quite a bit out. We are on the extreme southern end of a tornado watch. We're generally headed to Topeka. I say we. It's only me. I don't know why I say that. Just a habit, I guess. But I'm heading to Topeka, and then I'm going to make some decisions about where to go after that. So these storms did form, and that's good. They have a real linear appearance on radar, which has me concerned a little bit. Now, that's not to say that they may not improve their structure a little bit later. And a lot of times, I found storm chasing, you see those lines, and it looks like you're not going to see anything. But oftentimes, especially if there's no obstructions behind that thunderstorm line, like big areas of rain, in this case, it would be a dry line behind her, so it's looking pretty clear. You can actually see some pretty good stuff, even though it's a linear mode. So now, if it becomes a high precipitation event, then that changes the game a little bit. I saw some model output earlier today that showed that some of these storms were going to be outflow dominant. But again, the high resolution models are not perfect. These storms are a little bit more west than I thought they would be. As you know, it's 6 o'clock. So if you're just joining us, because I said it would start at 6, but it was just more convenient for me to do it now. So there you go. It's kind of funny. I'm using Starlink, which is great, but there's some things I'm learning about it. First of all, if I go to get gas, you can't park underneath the canopy. And you would think that these things would be obvious to me. And even when it was obvious to me and I tried to park the vehicle sticking out from underneath the canopy, it still shut me off. Which is fine if that happens prior to me streaming. Then I can adjust. But if it happens while I'm streaming, then the stream will stop. Now, there are some settings in YouTube that I haven't gotten around to adjusting where I saw that if you schedule it, that'll help to just go continuously insert. No matter whether you're getting a signal on or not, the YouTube live stream will just keep going. There's also some settings to keep trying after a certain number of milliseconds or seconds or something like that. I don't know. These are all things I just haven't gotten around to yet. So that's my situation. So another thing about Starlink too is, if I turn the car off, this is only temporary, but if I turn the car off, it's the only device in my chasing vehicle that isn't battery powered. So it shuts off. Again, if I shut off the car, it's like no big deal, but if there's a stream going on and if I haven't perfected the keep spinning until I come back thing, and sometimes Starlink takes a bit, to come back. yeah, these are just things. So I got myself I think it's a Jackery battery that allows you to charge the battery while you're using it. So that means if I turn off the car, Starlink will continue to be powered. So really, it's just it's a battery for Starlink. The other choice would be just to use a battery that doesn't charge, but then you have to have one that has a large enough capacity to last throughout the entire chase. All these things, all these things. Nothing to do with meteorology, everything to do with technology. So if you're here at the stream, welcome, thank you. I hope everything is working fine. I'm hoping my dropout rate's a little bit better than it's been the last couple of tries for this. I've been fine-tuning it, hopefully getting it a little bit more so that it's a little bit easier to watch. Oh gosh darn it, I forgot. I went to get gas right before I started the live stream and I forgot to wipe the bug guts off of my windshield. Oh well. I still might have a chance to do that. So like I said, if you're just joining, I'm on I-70 in Kansas on the southern end of a tornado watch. There's a semi-linear cluster of storms just about due west of me, and west of Topeka still, so I'm quite a ways out. It's just now 6 o'clock. So with storm chasing this time of year, you don't have real long nights, but the good news here, as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, is that the backlighting should be pretty good on these. So, assuming nothing pops up behind these, and I don't think anything will, we will have light until the very, very, very end. Even if the sun goes down, you'll still be able to see structure behind you. So that's good. So I'm not too worried about my ability to get storm chasing beyond, let's say, the next hour or so. It is later in the year. It might be a week between chases for me, sometimes or more. I fail to take into account that, hey, it's a little later now. So, again, does that have anything to do with the meteorology? No. So let's talk about the meteorology a little bit today. So if you've been watching the outlooks, you realize the epicenter of the threat, as painted by the Storm Prediction Center, was up in Minnesota and Wisconsin. The last time I checked, there were watches of plenty and a couple of lines of storms trying to form. I haven't checked in a while. It just wasn't within my means to go all the way up there to chase. And to be honest, even if I did, I used to live in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. There's a lot of trees up there. Minnesota might clear out a little bit. I don't know. It just didn't really appeal to me. So a lot of times you will find that I will go on what I refer to as storm chases of convenience. So as long as I can get back with a reasonable enough amount of time, midnight, maybe 1 a.m., pushing it, I can get some rest and still get up and do everything I have to do the next day. So if I were to go to northern Iowa or Minnesota, northern Iowa actually would have been right. Minnesota, those areas, in terms of chasing, it's still too far away. I would have to stay the night. And depending on what time of week it is and time of the year, that might be a possibility in the future. But, for me, this is it. So I debated between northeast Kansas and right around the Red River Valley in southern Oklahoma and northern Texas. At this point, I could torture myself and check that, but there's no sense doing that right now. Just stick with the girl you brought to the dance. So I'm going to make the most of this storm chase. So I'm looking over at the radar, and I still see what appears to be semi-discrete cells with this, but still kind of forming in a line, oriented right along the mean wind. So, what we're hoping to get is an individual cell that kind of bucks the trend. There's one north of that. And I thought it might be promising, but it looks like it's kind of not doing great. So anyway, welcome to my stream. So the very first stream I did was, earlier in April or maybe late May, I can't remember. But ended up around Poplar Bluff, Missouri. And the stream was really choppy and really rough. First time I'd ever tried it. That storm, actually, I got on a storm south of Poplar Bluff that actually did produce an EF1 tornado, and I was in the right position, and then I adjusted south and got myself in a wind and slight hail core on the lower side of the mesocyclone, and I just kind of lost awareness of that tornado. I'm not sure I would have seen it had I stayed where I was, but we'll never know. And anyway, so there's that. Then I daisy chained on down, eventually ended up in Jonesboro. So my count on that was I was on a tornado. I was on 3 tornado warned storm, 1 storm that generated the tornado, did not see the tornado. That's how I keep track of that. Then I did more of a test, right? More than anything else. A couple of days later, I just went to Oklahoma, and that was a dud. I knew it would be. And I streamed when Southwest Missouri was under that not high risk, but enhanced risk. And that's where I started out around Miami and went to Joplin. I happened to notice that Reed Timmer and I crossed paths almost exactly. He was just on a slightly different path and slightly different roads. I'm amazed I didn't see him. Checked out the exact same storms. I didn't see anything. I don't think he either. And he can afford to get real close to him, even rain wrap ones, whereas I'm a little bit more choosy about my stuff. So anyway, and I have a lot of the video for that particular stream available and ready to go, and I started to try to edit it, but I got too busy. So this is live, obviously, and then I'll have some recording of this when I download it back from YouTube. And so I'll take individual snapshots and do things like that, individual videos. I have a drink. When you're storm facing, you really shouldn't consume a lot of fluid. It's just the bathroom breaks are just gonna eat you up. So I take judicious, very small. All the storms that I'm driving out to see are severe thunderstorm warned. That's a good thing. One of the things that I'm wondering about, that there's clouds up here, so I can take my glasses off a little bit. One of the things I'm wondering, and I believe I already have the answer to this, but in the Great Plains, a lot of times, you get the magic where the winds will back. What that means is if the winds were out of the south, that means they come more out of the southeast, maybe even just south-southeast, it's enough. And it's a dynamic effect having to do with the Great Plains, how they slope. And that happens in Oklahoma a lot. Does it happen in northeast Kansas? I think it probably does. And there's some local terrain up here in Kansas. It's not completely flat. So there might be some issues that cause some local winds to improve the quality of some of these thunderstorms tonight. I did notice when I was getting gas outside of Lawrence that it was really quite windy here. And since I am a solo chaser here, it's very hard for me to check. It's very hard for me to check meteorology at this point. I'd have to stop the vehicle. At this point, when you storm chase, there are some times when you don't really need the data anymore. Like the SPC has their meso analysis page, cruise and cave and things like that. Okay, but with 2.5 hours left of chasing, maybe less, that doesn't matter anymore because you're not within driving distance of any major change that you decide to make, so you're just going to stick with what you see. So I am on, again, I-70. I can't tell how far away I am from Topeka. It looks like maybe 20 minutes, which is really good. Puts me in a good position. These storms look like they're going to slide north of Topeka. And these are the ones I indeed start chasing, which makes sense to me. There are tail end Charlies forming literally at the corner of the tornado warrant. I mean, right at the corner. So, will this be a nocturnal event? Yeah, I think it will a little bit. The thing I was saying earlier is that about that magic, I think it will happen. But one thing about this situation is that the best winds aloft are actually gradually leaving. And it doesn't really make much difference as long as they're still here. But I just wonder if this is as overall, if the overall forcing is going to be there to maintain a strong wind field as we go into the nighttime. But even if it's not strong, I still think there'll be a backing that I'm talking about here. I'm looking at the radar. I see, and it's not the same radar you're looking at, by the way. You're looking at DR Level 2 Analyst radar, and I'm looking at radar scope on a different laptop. Actually, it's a tablet. I can pull it up on my phone up here, too. There we go. It helps to have different perspectives on storms, so I like to have a lot of radars in the chase vehicle. Yeah, there's some physician cells that are trying to show maybe a little bit more independent characteristics, but they're also quite a distance from the... Well, no, not that far from the Topeka radar. Okay, so I may end up going to Topeka and check out what's due west and slightly northwest, and then check out some of those that are coming on down the line. So ideally, that works out well for chasers when you're on the southern end of a storm line. You can just kind of daisy chain your way. The storm motion is going to be about, I think I calculated 45 to 50 miles an hour, maybe. Something like that. A little fast. A little faster than I like. In the camera here, so you see the sun. You can kind of see the tops of those storms on the left side there. I also had to do some last minute shuffling in the vehicle, so I was using OBS, and I could not get my Rove to call up correctly, so I'm not using it. So I actually turned my Logi around. It's usually what I would use to look at me. I'm using my laptop for that camera. And then I took the Logi and now it's pointing straight. And I'm not sure it's the best resolution. But, chasing streaming in particular is really hard. I'm looking down at my OBS drop rate. It looks like it's only about 10%. That's good. In a test once, I got it down to that, and then the next time I went on, it was in the 30s. It was frustrating me. So, it's a science here. It's a learning curve, and having low resolution cameras helps. And actually, probably turning me off. You don't need to see me. Is probably an option too. I could probably try that here in a minute and see if it makes it any better. Yeah, we're definitely on the edge of the anvil. I can start to see the sky's getting a little darker. I have 4 views. That's okay. I'm also relying on people just finding me on the channel. I did not promote. No, not really. I didn't take the link and put it on Facebook. We're in Topeka. Wow, we're coming up. So there's something about Topeka I'm trying to remember about the roads. Yeah, you got one that kind of goes through the heart of Topeka. That's right. And you got one that kind of goes south of Topeka. I think I want the one that goes around the downtown, not the south. Because the south looks like it's going to really take me out of my way. And I want to be closer to these northern storms anyway. I'm driving through Kansas City on my way here, and 3 different construction zones, driving me absolutely mad. Probably wasted a half hour for that. But as it turns out, I don't think I really squandered any valuable chase time. Just joining the stream, welcome. I said, oh, we have 5 now. Hi, how are you? I'm Ted Keller. This is my 4th 3.5 hour attempt at streaming. Alright, so we got some. Okay, we're good. More construction. This is completely off topic, but I was wondering how many people out there have ever come in. This is in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, you're on that toll road that goes east-west out of Tulsa. Coming back, it's 412. So coming back on 412, I see the buildings of downtown Tulsa. I'm like, yay, that's fun. Let's look at that. Blah, blah, blah. There's a couple of, exits you have to maneuver. And I have 3 times in a row now gotten off on the wrong exit in Tulsa. I had to go downtown, turn around, and find it again because it's either not marked clearly or I'm not seeing it or there's construction. 3 times in a row now I've gotten off at the wrong intersection. I had to go to downtown Tulsa and fix my traveling ways. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's just one of those things. It's like, oh my gosh, please fix this. Topeka kind of reminds me of that. Because in Topeka, there's a highway that takes you from downtown Topeka, kind of on the north side, and there's another one that goes south. That's what made me think of it. You probably can't see it completely on the dash cam, but this part of Kansas is still kind of a little bit of a challenge, Jason. There's some rolling hills still, trees. Not as straightforward as one might think. Six views. I'm unclear on the views whether that means they're still with us. There's probably a stat right now that tells me how many are on now, but I can't quite see it while I'm driving. So, Radar Scope has a nice little function where it shows you where you are with respect to the storms. So it's kind of cool. The storms are sampled well. They're literally a few miles away from the Topeka radar site. So that's good. So if you're wondering what I drink, it's a diet soda usually. It's kind of funny because I drink a diet soda, but then sometimes I do it because I want the carbonation and the flavor, but I don't want the carbs. But sometimes I'll hit the lime or the lemon or the cherry or the vanilla button, and I think that's just sweet syrup. So I'm really defeating the purpose. I'm going to say that my dash cam is kind of swirling around, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. But you can see myself here with the camera itself is doing well. I'm not even sure what's happening with that. Apologize, I just noticed that dash cam is not functioning. So yeah, downtown Topeka. don't know why that. I'm not sure why that would be swirling and everything else would be fine. Okay. Seven views. I appreciate you sticking around, but I don't know why my main forward camera was working a second ago. I have a little tight spot here, I really can't stop it. So bear with me, we'll figure out why it's swirling around like that. And this is a big shock, but there's more construction here. I might have to go into OBS and just kind of reactivate it. Let's see. And if you're just joining me, I'm having a little dash cam issue. I don't know why. Everything else seems to be working fine except for that. Try something radical like unplugging it and plugging it back in. They really have this torn up. Looks like they're reinventing the entire thing here. Going north to Pico. It's a thunderstorm cluster, which I'm looking at now that it's close to the radar. And at least one part of it is outflow dominant. And that's what I saw on the models earlier, and we don't want that. That's a bad thing. Unless that outflow aids in a storm, southwest of that cluster. Then it could be a good thing. So yeah, when you're doing a one-man band chase like this, it is a little hard because as long as everything's working fine, everything is working fine. And then the minute it's not working fine, it is very hard to chase and then fix and diagnose a problem. So hang on, we'll try to get this fixed. At least now you can't see my driving. I think I have an exit coming up here that I will take advantage of. Try doing a little reset. Storms that are on the corner of the watch, again, are showing some real linear structures. So as a storm chase goes, I'm starting to be a little skeptical of quality here. But again, we're going to let this go till dark. Because, again, I still think there's a little bit of magic that can be had from this type of setup. Here, place to diagnose things. This part of the model looks good to me. Starlink is not obstructed. All right, what's going on with this camera? Try a few things here. What I'm going to do is grab my eyeless here, and let's see here. Let's go with, first of all, I'm going to turn off that. That doesn't need to be on. Oh, okay, I turned that on. Okay, hang on. Okay. Okay, that's me. Alright, hi. Don't need that on. Window capture is the radar. That's good. That's me, right? Okay, so that one. Let's check this one out and see what it is. Okay, that's me again. Okay, that's different. Okay, turn that off. I want to check the properties of this one. Deactivate and activate. Okay. Cancel that. Discard that one. Turn that one off. Cabin cam. Properties. Pro webcam. That's the right one. We're going to deactivate it and activate it. There we go. I don't know why that worked. Okay, you know, I'm actually going to stop here. This is actually a good thing. I can take a look at radar, and so this is a very linear setup, um, and there is some evidence of some outflow on this. Not quite at the leading edge of it, but back a little bit. So I think the question would be: is that outflow going to help in the generation of the new storms that come up behind it? So if you have a radar handy, like, let's see, let me see. My position is way out here. Yeah, I think I'm going to continue to head out along the interstate, and then the outflow boundary would be just south of there, and then see what happens with these individual storms that are popping up behind that main cluster. Now, there's a very obvious cluster of storms that you might be tempted to just chase. That's the one that's under the severe thunderstorm warning on your screen there. But, you know, I don't know. When you chase, there's no perfect solution, but I can see that that particular cluster of storms is behind an outflow boundary. Now, the leading edge of it might be something worth chasing. So I would just kind of go north here to watch that. So that's a possibility. It's the strongest storm on radar, so that's always something that you should take into consideration. So what I'll probably do is go... Oh, I'll pass the Oz Museum. I get easily distracted. Let's see. I won't quite go to Manhattan. Now, I think what I might do is navigate north on 75 to 24. And take me up to around St. Mary's. Yeah, St. Mary, that's a good thing. So we want 75 north. And then, oh, you know, that video's not too bad. It's a little grainy. No. Okay. All right. So now I got to figure out where 75 north is. And get to it. Hit my tablet just totally fell off my knee. Okay. All right. Let's see. I thought I had that strapped in. I did not, apparently. Hang on to it. If you haven't traveled on the toll roads in Oklahoma or in Kansas recently, they have all been automated. I can't speak for Kansas, but everything I've been in Oklahoma, you don't stop anymore at a toll booth. It's all been license plate tag now, which is easier, but also more expensive, as I found out in Oklahoma in some cases. Oh, right there. All right, that's exactly what I want. All right, 75 north. There you go. lost. Been there, done that. All right. If you're just joining me, thank you. Looks like I've had 10 views. I don't know what that means. There are 10 people viewing or 10 people have tried to view. 24 West. Kind of works because it takes me toward the storm and it actually equals a little northwest. There's construction. Be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th construction area that I've encountered. 5. I've been chasing out in the middle of nowhere. What's actually kind of funny about some of those, like in for an example, eastern Colorado, which is really flat. There's really nothing out there. And they'll set up these things. This has happened in southern Kansas too, where they're repairing a bridge or something. And have any of you encountered these where they take these portable stoplights? It could be like a half mile between these stoplights, and they only let one lane go at a time. And you're sitting there, and you're sitting there. And you know you can't go because you'll run head on into a car. No place to, you're not going to crash, but I mean, you're going to reach an impasse, that's for sure. So, those are hilarious. You're literally sitting in the middle of nowhere, going, am I really stopped at this red light with nobody behind me and nobody in front of me? No evidence that anybody's coming along. So I'm seeing some new cloud development straight ahead here, some new towering cumulus clouds. You probably can't quite make that out. You can't make out the bug juice. Sorry, I didn't clean that off. That's bad. So we're going to see what happens here as I start to approach these storms. Again, I don't think that what I'm driving at has much tornado potential. It does have some hail in it, that's for sure. It is creating an outflow boundary, but the bleeding edge of it is not outflow bounded. So that could actually work out. So a lot of times when you're chasing, you see this kind of general kind of gray area, and you think to yourself, there's no structure there, but you'd be amazed when you get within a couple of miles of it, how structured it can look. Again, especially if you have low sunset or good backlighting behind it, you can actually see some stuff. But if you were to base your chase on just looking at that, you go, I give up. Keep going. And we're in a good place too. We're not coming at this from the back end. There's a reason why we're not doing that. You're not coming through this from the back end, through the rain and all that stuff, which is not what you really should be doing ever. But I think we're headed to St. Mary's, so it's 19 miles ahead. I was saying earlier, I have a Rove dash cam with a rear mount too. And the Rove product is really meant to, you should have flash flood warning for this. Wow, for the entire length of the back of this. And they sell those, and I didn't really know, but they sell those for you to be monitoring traffic around you and driving habits in case someone tries to, pull an insurance scam, or just for documentation that it wasn't your fault. That's what it's actually meant for. I kind of knew that, but I thought I could use it anyway, and I can't. And that's the one I can't seem to connect today for some reason. So, but I think what I'm going to do, it's running right now. I think what I'm going to do is make sure I have enough of a memory card in there to last a while, research it along and overboard, and then just let that just document my chase. And then at the rear cam, I can leave it back there, or I can, it's kind of long cord, I can just leave it, or I can just like mount it where I want it if the occasion arises, or permanently mount it somewhere, I don't know. So we're barely in a tornado watch. We've got a line of storm, as you can see on radar, and it definitely, from that perspective, the way I have that radar set, it's a line. So what we're looking for from a storm chasing perspective is to try to isolate some supercells that might be in that line that can, grab the lion's share of energy and wind and produce a tornado. And then there are areas, you see the anvil top to this thing in the view there. Then off to the left of that is where new development might be occurring. It's still a little early. I probably have till about 8:15, 8:30 to chase this, realistically, depending on the lighting situation. I'm just really glad that the stream seems to be working well. It's working. This is, from all appearances, the best stream attempt that I've had so far. Whereas it seems to be on and looking okay. I've never seen a tornado in northeast Kansas. I've had opportunities to come up here. Have I seen a tornado in Kansas? For sure. Kansas, Nebraska, nothing in Iowa ever. But to be honest, I've not chased much in Iowa. What I'm looking for are the tops of the storms here, and seeing what's developing out ahead of this a little bit. I still think I'm doing the right thing here. But I do know that the bulk of that thunderstorm is behind an outflow belt. I'm doing this just because that's the best I can do right now. But I will basically put myself in a position to see if storms that are forming behind this can somehow latch onto that outflow belt. That's the theory. Views. Hey, thank you. I'm going to try to do this throughout what's left of April and May. I will miss opportunities. I can't chase everything. It just depends on what's going on, and how far away it is. Better chance of me chasing something on a weekend. If it's going to be a weeknight, it's going to have to be something pretty close. Okay, so we're driving through this town in Silver Lake. Is that what this is? I could probably zoom in on that radar a little bit more, show you exactly where I'm going. Again, one-man band I can sometimes reach over and press a button, but zooming in on a radar safely. By the way, earlier today, I hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Great, thank you so much for anybody who has contributed to that. I'm trying to take it a little more seriously, try to up things here. So if you don't know how YouTube works, for you to be registered, monetized, all those fun things, um, there's actually, well, the main threshold is, I wouldn't say it's a main threshold. One of the main thresholds is 1,000 subscribers, so that happened today. Another one is, there's a threshold at 3,000 watch hours over the last 365 days, and there's one at 4,000. The 3,000 one gets you a couple of things. You can be, I don't know, I think you can actually sell products or do something like that. I don't know. Then the 4,000 really gets you full in. So, my goal would be, I just saw my first lightning. My goal would be, because chasing is not without cost. Mostly wear and tear in the car, gas, a little bit of equipment. The equipment's fine. You use it after a couple of chases. So, we're approaching the leading edge of this line of storms. I'll adjust the radar as soon as I get a little closer. Leading edge is the only part of the storm that hasn't been outflow dominated yet. And that outflow boundary, yeah, it could impact the storms coming on down the line. On the first chase I had, I didn't have Starlink. I was using my Verizon service, and it was, when you're in a high-speed area, it's fine. You get into the boondocks like you often do in storm chasing, not so much. So I noticed that Starlink Mini was on sale. I think I got it at Walmart. That thing was up around $600, and I got it for $350. I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. So I got that, and I'm on the Roam 50 gigabyte, and then you pay more for every time you go over that. And it works well. I just have it up in my skylight here. I just close the little protective thing, and it stays up there. I had a suction cup mount. I didn't like it. They make others that are better. The problem with that is you have to let the sunlight in. I guess that's okay. So it's up there, and again, it doesn't like obstructions, and it's the only thing it doesn't have a battery. I was saying that earlier, but I've got a Jackery battery that can be charged while it's supplying power. So that means if I were to turn the entire vehicle off, everything in here would then be on backup, and I wouldn't lose signal. It doesn't matter if I'm not streaming, because I can just wait for the Starlink to come back. But if I'm streaming like this, everything has to stay on, even if I stop. Even if I turn the vehicle off, which, honestly, I don't do. And the other issue I was saying earlier is that if you park underneath the canopy to get gas, you cut off your Starlink signal. Looking at the leading kind of curving edge of this storm right here. There's some growth ahead of that a little bit. Jason just passed me. You have the very telltale anemometer weather sensing device on the top of their vehicle. Looks like I've had 22 views. That is certainly more than I think I've ever gotten before, so thank you. And my drop rate low. I can't quite make it out. When you're using OBS, there's a number, but there's also a set of green bars. And as long as you have green bars and not yellow or red bars, you're okay. When you storm chase, you end up going through a lot of small towns like this with speed limits. So, it's just the nature of things. Usually doesn't last more than a mile or so. Some towns you end up weaving through the downtown, like we just did that previous town, a little bit more. And you can see a very dark horizon. Not exactly sure when the speed limit changes. Oh, there it is. The bolt is missing. It flipped. Okay. So yeah, we're going to go up to this one road here that goes north a couple of miles. And then we're going to ride up into the outflow of this storm right here, which is kind of cool. Probably grab my phone and a few pictures. So the obvious question is, every single one, that speed limit sign, I think somebody's purposely removing the bolts and letting it flip them. Anyway, so the obvious question someone would ask is, well, you want to see a tornado, right? And the obvious answer is, sure, I would. But, it's not always possible. If you look at storm chasers, a lot of them are able to get it done. The prime example is Reed Timmer. This gentleman is committed to doing it. And it's fantastic. I watch him every chance I get. I'm usually watching him on my way back from the chase. Because he'll chase into the night. He'll just do what it takes. And of course he has an armored vehicle and he's a little safer. Lightning there. And anyway, so you just do the best you can. This thing I was talking about, this phenomenon, is actually pretty real. I think. No, we didn't run into a gust front yet. Sometimes I do this. I just put my hand out the door, or the window. No, it's not cool out there yet. Yeah, so we got an opportunity to. So you're looking northwest right now on Highway 24. You can definitely see some outflow cloudiness there. You can get dramatic cloud jobs when you chase. That's amazing. But that gust front's just ready to hit me. So I probably will abort the idea of going north because it looks like I will miss that and end up running into a hail core. Let that one go. Okay. Definitely a wind shift just occurred. Oh yeah. Hold up on air. That wind is coming out of the west. Yep, actually, the speed is actually slowing down because of this. So what I'm going to do here real quick is show you a shot of where I was going to go. So bear with me here a second. I think this is a place I'm actually pointing south. So what you see there is the leading edge of the cold outflow boundary on the right part of your screen there. See that? It's cool. So I'm just going to head to a place here where I feel like I can turn. No, there's a place up there. So this is what I was talking about. This is outflow dominant. So we really don't want to be. I saw it on radar and it's fine. So now we're pointing. Let's see. We'll get a good shot right here. All right. I'm here for the show. Now we're pointing. Well, it was telling me what direction I was pointing. We're pointing north, kind of north-north, north-northeast. So there's the leading edge of that outflow boundary. Pretty cool, huh? And then if we go this road here, you can see very outflow boundary. Oh yeah, so my road cam. Oh, we're going due north right now. So you can see there's a hail core back there. The rain area is off to the right there. Don't confuse bug juice with a funnel cloud. I really should have cleaned that off. Okay, so I think that my best strategy here with this is everything behind that outflow boundary is not really something I want to chase. So we're going to go back on 24. And what we're going to try to do is see if this outflow boundary's leading edge can interact with other storms that are forming. I should have adjusted the radar. I told you when I stopped I would adjust the radar. That are forming down to the southwest of this line. I think that's possible, actually. So I just need to figure out how to do it from a road perspective. How to get there. Actually, I might change my mind again. I'm going to change my mind one more time here. I think I'm going to continue to take 24, even though it's taking me into the outflow boundary. That's a cool shot. Look at that. Because it looks like it'll get me back to the interstate faster than backtracking all the way to the. There we go. And while I'm in an outflow area, I'm not necessarily in the rain area. And so it turns out that these computer models from earlier are actually pretty accurate. Some structure back there, it's interesting, but I don't think it's tornadic. Very strong winds here. Say we got winds gusting over 30 to 35 miles an hour. Oh yeah. Cold air. Generally not good. I mean, not good for chasing. Looks like we got some chasers kind of parked up here. In fact, it looks like two vans. I bet you that's a chase company. They look awfully similar. Yeah, that's a chasing company. I can't make out which one. You see them on the left up there? B2 and B1. I'm not sure who those people are. Just a comment here. I like to do this. We were talking about, I want to see a tornado. Yeah, I do. I just like to do this. This is my version of hunting. It's just that I just don't have a orange vest on. Could. It's definitely a storm chaser. I'm just turning around, trying to figure out what to do. Yep. And they're all saying the same thing. Damn it, this thing is outflow dominant. Because you're essentially right now in very stable air. So nothing's going to happen. It does look interesting, but again, I like it. I just like watching storms develop. That explains why I got into this. Oh, we have a tornado warning. It's the first tornado warning. So this theory is that these storms that form down along the southwestern edge of this is coming true here. So we're basically headed in that direction. That thing has not yet intersected that outflow boundary. So the key is if the outflow boundary keeps plowing down like that, then it's going to kill us. But if it somehow finds itself stationary, which I think it will, because it's fighting a southerly wind that's larger scale. So I think it'll work. And by the way, when you storm chase and you are looking for tornadoes, I really should have zoomed in on that for y'all. Right now, though, time is of the essence. It's 7 o'clock. So instead of stopping to adjust our radar, I'm just going to let that sit. Thank you. Patience on that. And here's the thing. I'm telling you exactly where I am. I'm in St. Mary's. So, you can always call up a radar on your phone and look at that. So, yeah, we're going to loop back around 24. It kind of comes back to the southwest a little bit. That'll put us in a better position. The tornado warning is far away. But the good news about this particular setup is that storms are coming at me. So I don't have to chase them. We can take our speeds and add them together, so I can get they can get to me a little quicker because I'm moving at them and they're moving at me. These are nice little towns, St. Mary's, nice little towns. That's another thing. Towns are just fascinating to me too. Well, the gust front blew that garbage container. These are towns where, no officials have decided to bypass the town with the highway. It's still very much intact. Yeah, lots of evidence that the wind came through here earlier. Move some things around here. One thing I'm fascinated by, and I swear I'm going to do this. I don't even know if anybody's watching. But you see coffee shops. All this is very common. What's happened here is that microbreweries have popped up in places all over the plains now. I mean, a lot of times. We were at Beer Fest a month ago, not a couple weeks ago, and there was a brewery all the way from Alva, Missouri, or Alva, Oklahoma, which is kind of northwest Oklahoma, north of Enid, kind of ways out. And Carly was her name. Sorry. Talked to her quite a bit. I told her about this idea of combining storm chasing while you can, and then find a microbrewery. And in the past, you would have had to driven all the way back to Kansas City or Wichita or something like that. That's not the case here. A lot of times you can find them a lot closer, and you can partner with these people. Probably giving away my idea here. Okay, 60. So, gotta be a little patient here. This road's gonna curve back down to the southwest. And we're still so far away from that tornado warning that I'm not doing anything that's going to cause me to miss anything. So far, this is not a storm chase that has any regret with it. Meaning, the only thing I would have decided, if I would have left a little earlier, would I have decided to chase the tail end of that line? Maybe. I don't know. In other words, would I have been farther west? Maybe. But you can't really do that to yourself. Otherwise, you'll go insane. Well, that one bug juice really bothers me because it's vertical. It looks like drives me crazy, actually. So yeah, we're in the outflow here. The rain would be right back there. Now, can these outflows reverse? Yeah, if we have strong ambient winds. I've been in storm chases where the temperature jumps 15 degrees, or drops 15 degrees. Drops you can get behind because it's associated with outflow boundaries. That's But when a temperature spikes, that's a little creepy. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Where'd that come from? You know, so the dynamics around thunderstorms are quite interesting. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but like quite a few cloud-to-ground lightning storms. If I look back where I was, that storm is completely outflow boundary. So I'm not upset that we're leaving it. Now, things do change, and if you go a couple hours down the line, that could be something. Right now, it's within the time I have allotted. This is probably the best move. Still kind of heading west, almost southwest now. Now we're heading due west. Visibility is getting a lot better. I don't know if you can make it out on the camera or not, but there are some clear slots way off in the distance over there, which look like the bases of the new thunderstorms, and it might be the actual tornado. It probably is. So I'm looking over there, because in Kansas, you can see a tornado 20 miles away. So I'll keep my eye on that. I don't know if you can quite see that on the camera. It'd be on the extreme left side of your screen, and I don't think the resolution is there to make that out. But the nice thing is this road will turn and point at that in a minute here. So, yay. Yeah, chasing is all about, there's meteorology, but then there's just plain old, just figuring it out. I mean, you know, where are the roads, you know, then like I said, there's leaves on the road here, so the upflow is really strong here. Yeah, we're definitely at the base of the storm that has the tornado warning over there. I wish I could show that to you. So here's something. I actually have the DJI 2 mini drone, and my goal was to incorporate that into the feed. The only problem with Starlink, as I found out, it has rain here too. The only problem with Starlink, as I found out, is that because it's always catching a different satellite, for some reason, the way I would feed that drone into this would be to use an RTMP server, and those aren't stable under Starlink. So if I'm at home and on my home Wi-Fi, I got an error on my YouTube. Am I still streaming? Maybe I'm not. Okay, so I got an error. I don't know why I have an error. On my YouTube here. Oh, it still works. Okay. Well, no. Yes. Is it working? Oh, it still works. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to do that too long because that's really taxing if I'm watching my own YouTube stream. So it is raining here lightly. But the good news is that we're about to, this road's kind of doing a weird little curve, but eventually it's going to start pointing at the base of that tornado warning over there. Anyway, I was talking about the drone. So I wanted to get the drone into this feed, and I still think I can do it. I upgraded my Starlink. If you pay just a little bit more, I think you can get a permanent HP, or I don't know what they call it, DNS. I don't know. There's some, I don't understand any of that. Really, I just haven't put my mind to it. But eventually, hopefully I can stabilize that. Now, why did I get the drone? I got the drone for two reasons. One, if I'm chasing in areas where there are a lot of hills and trees, I can launch the drone and see what's going on. Two, it's just cool. I just think it's neat to launch that. just to have another option. So, and I'm new to all of this. I mean, I literally threw this together in the last month and a half, and a lot of it in the last month. So, I'm learning as I go. Rain here, but the play of the night as it's unfolding here is definitely as we approach this the kind of west northwest. We can see the face of it. In fact, as we come around this curve here, see the orange, the road intersects the horizon there. That's sunlight back there. That's the base of the storm. In fact, we're pointing right at a rain shaft that's connected with that storm. So, yeah. I think that there might be, if there's anything to be seen, we're going to see it here pretty soon. I'm still very far away from it, actually. Is that a wall cloud? Could be a wall cloud. It's raining. It's good for the bug juice. Yeah, I'd say that might be a wall cloud. Don't know for sure. Another problem with being a one-man chaser is that I just don't have time to look at the meteorology. I mean, I'd have to stop and see rotation in the storm. But I think we're looking at a wall cloud feature here. It's, again, not all lowerings are wall clouds. That's the unfortunate part of that. And I'd have to stop to see if it's rotating, but it looks like it's in approximately the right place. I think it could be a different storm. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, just because it's not tornado warned doesn't mean that it won't be here in a second. Yeah, we haven't even really started pointing southwest yet with this April 24 yet. That looks encouraging to me. I don't actually think that's, well, I can't tell. That's the tornado warned storm or not. That seems awfully far away. And it's not tornado warned anymore, I don't think. No, it's not. Okay. But I just think this is exciting. It's just kind of cool. See what a storm can do. Big rain area just west of me, but this road started curving. So I think we'll be right on the edge of that rain. I mean, literally just right on the edge. The town coming up. You make out what that is. Check out my dinner options. No, I won't be eating there this time. I'll be on the interstate on this whole road home. McDonald's. Is that a civilization? Yeah. I don't know. Pretty good position here. So what I'm doing is I'm approaching this other storm here. On the extreme, could be something there. Yeah. I see a very tight wall, not a wall cloud, which is interesting to me. Watching the speed limit here. Not sure what time I'm getting in. Oh, this is where the Oz Museum is. I've never been to. Oh, is this St. Mary's? Yeah. 36 views on my channel. Certainly as far, oh, I like Sonics. It won't be that one. problem with where we are right now is we're still behind the outflow. So even though it looks like you might see something right here, it's just so typical of what many people mistake for tornadoes is just the rough seas underside of an outflow boundary. Waves. This is definitely the biggest of these small towns so far. Yeah, so right on the right there is the rain shaft. I don't think there might be some small hail in that. Okay, that was an interesting development. I just watched the radar update, and the entire thing lifted north, instead of translating more northeast. So I think that's interesting. It kind of tells me that there's flow above the outflow that's directing those storms. So, yeah. We're on a rise here, so we're losing sight on what I was pointing at earlier. If you ever want a storm chase, there's lots of reasons why I would caution against that. If you don't like driving in rain, you won't like storm chasing. There's always this ideal that you're not going to do it, but inevitably you're gonna. So far, this is not too bad. 7:15. This is all outflow dominant country here. I was trying to look off in the distance, see if I can see a wall cloud feature. Don't think I was seeing that. It's hard to tell. So what I'm looking forward to doing here is looking forward to this curving back more to the southwest. Alright, we got rid of the bug juice tornado. So this is a test for Starlink. If you're wondering if Starlink has rain fade, not too bad, but if you're in a real heavy rain, it does quit. I did notice that. General rain is probably going to be fine. Lights on. Rain-driven cold air coming out of the base of the storm. Up on my right. So what I often refer to as the last play of the day, because I don't really chase at night, and honestly, this is not the kind of setup I probably would spend a lot of time. Even if I were tempted to do that, it's just not a. Now, just like loud space. Anyway, it's not the kind of setup that I would. It is too linear, to be honest. For this to be really chasing at night. And you're not going to see it. You guys certainly wouldn't see anything. So, I would just shut the stream off if I decided to do that. Still going due west. If I can get to a place where I think that we can see some more structure, then I'll adjust the radar. Right now your radar is a very broad view, but like I said, if you want to know where I am, I'm just kind of west-northwest of Topeka. Just went through St. Mary. Okay, now we're turning more to the southwest. thing about where I'm at is the Topeka radar is almost within stone's throw where I am. So that's good because we're sampling the lower part of these storms pretty well. Westmoreland, that's where Reed got that tornado last year, that high base tornado. Oh my God, that was so cool to watch that. Let's see, stage 24. Good. They're either storm chaser or storm spotter sitting in that parking lot. They're usually pretty obvious. That's a sheriff. He could be doing that, actually. Doesn't look like he's set up to catch speeders up there. Yeah, we're still under the outflow canopy of the storm. So that cloud deck you see up there that's what it is. Nine views. Thank you if you tuned in. This is my 5th live stream chase, and really only the 3rd one that even had a chance of being seen. This is definitely the best one. I've got green bars on my drop rate the whole time. Well, I had to stop and tweak it once when my camera went out for reasons I can't explain. I'm still heading west according to my camera. Now the skies are brightening up to the west, and again, that's good. If by some chance we can get an independent supercell with this, or at least something embedded in the flow with good backlighting, you might actually see something. If it's a high precipitation supercell, but if it's a supercell within a line, maybe. Again, this highway is going to take me southwest with time, and eventually I have a north-south highway when it intersects 70, and it all comes to a head in one place. Rain here pretty good. The ditch in between the 4-lane highway here is pretty full. As is the field to my right here. Notice that streams come and go. It's really slow. Apologize for my stream feed. It's breaking up pretty bad. I'm sure it was actually doing quite well there for a while. I'm not sure what's causing that, but I'm getting a very high drop rate.